And welcome again to another edition with On the Couch with Charles. Listen, I want you to go share and like. Follow me on my YouTube channel, Change with Charles, all one word, Change with Charles Therapy. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and see past videos. We are on season 4 with On the Couch with Charles. And today I am joined with my good colleague, my good friend, Lauren Hussons. And I want to talk with her about postpartum depression. So listen, I want you to go and find a sister, go and find an aunt, a mom, a neighbor, and say, listen, we're talking about postpartum depression and women issues. And I want to be here for you all. So listen, I'm going to take a few moments and give you an opportunity to go and grab a friend. And we'll be back in a moment. Well, welcome to another edition On the Couch with Charles. And I'm back here and I'm with my friend Lauren Hudson. And Lauren, welcome to On the Couch with Charles.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am an LCSW,
Okay.
licensed clinical social worker. I am a wife. I am a mother of 2, therapist, entrepreneur, Kroger shopper. And I enjoy doing therapy and talking about this very passionate subject that I have encountered and love to guide women through this journey.
So tell our listeners and viewers as well, why are you passionate about this postpartum depression? I see that is one of your niches. So tell us about that experience.
Absolutely. So I have a 7-year-old and I have a 1-year-old. And I had my son during the pandemic.
Okay.
And last year I experienced postpartum depression myself.
Mm-hmm.
And there was not a woman that I saw for a provider that looked like me. And I think that's extremely important.
Okay.
A lot of people that go to therapy, their number one thing is, I want someone that looks like me.
Okay.
And there wasn't that option for me. So as a therapist, knowing the coping skills and things and triggers that I identified, I wanted to have a woman of color.
Okay.
And that was very difficult for me. And during that process, I was like, okay, I need to be a resource to other people, other moms that are experiencing postpartum depression. I think being a clinician is like good and bad, right? So
Okay.
once you identify what's going on with yourself and then you look for someone, then you just keep digging for the right person because you have a history and experience of therapy. It was very easy for me to identify my triggers, but it was also very easy or very difficult for me to want to get help.
Okay.
Being stigmatized, the Memphis mental health community is very small, so the likelihood of me running into someone that is a colleague,
Okay.
and now I need you to be my therapist.
Okay.
So that was really difficult as well.
Well, what made you come out with your story of dealing with postpartum depression, knowing that it could be some backlash? What drove you to say, you know what, moms need to hear this?
Suffering in silence was just not an option for me.
Okay.
A lot of mothers, women in general, feel that there is this weakness attached to the difficulties that you express of motherhood.
Okay.
They automatically assume, well, you wanted to be a mom, so why are you complaining? And the suffering in silence was just not an option anymore. I knew I wasn't the only mother that had ever experienced that, but I was the only mother in my community that verbalized that.
Okay.
And so you feel like you are just you, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And once I came out with my story and I was able to share, women were like, me too,
Mm-hmm.
me too. So being able to be a voice and let mothers and women know that it's not just you that's suffering in silence.
So take us into, I want them to see, what was it like dealing with postpartum depression? What are the feelings? You know, you just had a baby, and many of women, I'm working with women now who deal with postpartum depression, and that's why I wanted to bring you here, because take us into, you just had a baby, one of the happiest moments of mom's life, and then people don't understand because they only think, you just had a baby. It's just exciting. But what happens in the soul and the very essence of moms in that postpartum depression era? What's happening?
Absolutely. A lot of times it was very lonely.
Okay.
Right? I have a great support system. My husband is very hands-on. I have my mother 10 minutes down the street. My best friend lives in the neighborhood with me. But at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, it's lonely.
Okay.
I'm up with the baby, nursing. My husband is the sole provider at the time, so he's working 7 days a week.
Okay.
And that guilt feeling of like, I don't want to wake him up. I don't want to disturb him. So it's very lonely. It's very isolating. During the pandemic, there's not a lot of engagement in person that was occurring because, of course, I just had a baby. I want to keep me safe. I want to keep this baby safe. So feeling very alone, feeling very, it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. It's dark. Okay. It's not light outside. So that plays a point. Sleep deprivation. Not getting enough rest. I still haven't kept on my sleep, and he's a year old. So
still trying to catch up.
Still trying to catch up. And I think a lot of women think that postpartum depression happens as soon as you have a baby. I was fine the first 4 months. Mm-hmm. And then he entered into sleep regression where he was teething and he wasn't sleeping very well. And that was my trigger for the postpartum depression. So a lot of times it's not as soon as you bring that baby home from the hospital. It could be months later. You actually can experience postpartum up to 18 months of you giving birth to that child. Wow. So it wasn't immediate. So that was like, okay, what is going on? Because I was happy. I was enjoying my baby. Our daughter, who is 7, enjoying her baby brother. My husband, he has a boy now, so he's enjoying it, and I am sad.
Wow. And you're saying while your husband enjoying a baby boy, and you got a baby, and mom should be happy. So was there a guilt?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the guilt is a lot of what led me to the depression because I felt I am supposed to be enjoying this child. Everyone that would come to visit, they're happy to see him. They're loving all over him and even supporting me. They would help me wash dishes and clean up, but those visits go away. And then I felt the pressure of, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom now. I need to do everything. These were never expectations that my husband placed on me. He even was like, I expect the house not to be as tidy, right? But I had these expectations of, well, I need to have the house clean. The baby needs to be clean when he gets home. And so the pressure of, I have to be superwoman.
Wow. I want to talk about that pressure. And you said pressure, and you said supposed to. Mm-hmm. I'm supposed to. Where is this book on mom that moms think that we are supposed to be superwomen, we're supposed to do this, we're supposed to do that? So it seems as though since there's no manual out there for moms, the pressure and the supposed to and the expectations are coming from us. Where did that come from? If you ever thought about where did I get that from, that expectation and holding myself? Because you said your husband, like, I expect it to be. So then it's me. Mm-hmm. So speak to the moms that's holding them own selves to that high expectation and putting that pressure on them.
Absolutely. So I would say Claire Huxtable, right? Generations, even my own mother. It was 3 of us. So she cooked, she cleaned, she was married. And oftentimes I would ask them, like, Mom, how did you do that? So I think even just the generations before us, put that expectation on, well, you don't complain about it. This is the motherhood, right? Where you go second, even last, depending on how many children you have, to be able to provide, to cook and clean. And I would always ask my mom, how did you cook every single day? I didn't have fast food until I was in high school going to college. Really? I had a home cooked meal. I'm like, what was Taco Tuesday?
Right.
So we was having like meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and so I was like, how? And again, Claire Huxtable, that's a joke, but society pushes that narrative. Okay. Any show you watch, any movie you're watching, the commercials where mom is juggling like 1 or 2 kids while she's cleaning. May have a computer in front of her. And so I think, again, generational pressures of, well, my mom did it, grandma did it, and also society, that social media, when you're looking at a Target commercial where mom is doing everything, dad may be chilling, or even dad is engaged, what is mom really thinking? I know a lot of times for me, when my husband was enjoying the children, I would have these racing thoughts of all the things I need to get done. I still need to do hair for school tomorrow. I need to cook. Here's an opportunity for me to clean. So I could never really enjoy those moments initially because I'm like, okay, what are the things I need to do after this?
Okay. Wow. You mentioned, I listened to her iPod, so she does a lot of speeches on postpartum depression.
Yes.
And working hard to get this message out. What is your goal for this message and this newfound inspiration with postpartum? What is your goal for moms?
Absolutely. It's definitely to give women of color, the voice that they need to hear that says, it's okay to not be okay.
Okay.
I remember a lot of times everyone would ask me how I was feeling, and I felt the pressure to say I'm okay when I wasn't okay. I might have been drowning in just negative self-doubt, thoughts, being overwhelmed. Being able to let women and moms know it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not enjoy every single moment of motherhood. It's like pretty much anything, even being married. You don't enjoy every single moment of
Absolutely.
it. But being able to say, hey, your feelings are normal. They need to be validated. You need to be able to speak in a safe space without being mom shamed. And I think people mom shame without intentionally mom shaming, right? So a lot of times I would hear, well, you should have had them closer together because they're 6 years apart. And that's mom shaming because you don't know my story of why they're 6 years apart.
Absolutely.
And that struggle in itself, like, it is a struggle, but I don't need you to remind me that they're 6 years apart.
Right. Absolutely. So we have to be mindful
Absolutely.
of what we're saying because of the undertone that the person could be picking up because you don't know their pain and why it took, for your example, 6 years. You don't know the struggle that you and your husband went through, and so when you say things like, so we even have to be careful how we approach these situations.
Absolutely.
How would you approach these situations?
Absolutely.
From even men, because I'm sure husbands like your husbands out there, brothers and fathers who have daughters or sisters who are in this situation now. How can we be and not be that person that says the wrong thing? So what are some things we can do as support people to better assist?
Absolutely. I think it's definitely knowing your significant other, knowing your spouse, being in tune with them. Even when I would say I'm okay, my husband knows me. We've been together 12 years. So he's like, no, you're not okay. Being very in tune with non-verbal communication. Right? If I'm looking overwhelmed while I'm washing the dishes, assume I'm overwhelmed, right? If you hear screaming in the other room from the child, come and check and don't assume mom has it just because she's mom and she knows what she's doing. Lending a helping hand. And women, I will say, especially moms, this is what I had to learn very hard, but it really allowed me to understand just because my husband is doing it a different way doesn't make it the wrong way. A lot of times I would get overwhelmed with how he's doing something. So I've asked him for this help, or he's, seen that I need help, and I would get overwhelmed because he isn't doing it my way. And so I perceive that as, well, he's not doing it the right way. And that led me to being overwhelmed and frustrated because now I'm trying to be back in control of a situation that I'm trying to relinquish control. Absolutely.
So it's like a cycle.
Yes. It's a cycle, and I had to, remove myself, go to the room, go take a bath, go, sit down and do nothing. My husband was like, relax. And so I'm like, oh yeah, I am supposed to relax. He would have to cue me to put the dish towel down,
So not only your spouse, and you mentioned on understanding your husband is not the same way and doesn't make it right or wrong. Even other moms.
Absolutely.
Even other moms, like moms project. And just because you didn't, for example, you didn't have your kids back to back, doesn't make it wrong.
Absolutely.
And how somebody else did raise their child doesn't make the way you did it necessarily wrong. We're different.
Absolutely.
So moms who are dealing with this expectation and this pressure need to understand and give themselves permission and give themselves grace.
Absolutely.
Just because I'm not doing it like my neighbor doesn't make this wrong.
Absolutely. And when you talk about giving grace, I had to give myself grace. I had to understand there is no manual. There is no perfect mother. Target commercials, it's a commercial, right? That's 5 seconds of a dream.
Hi, this is my child, and I'm happy.
Yeah, absolutely. So being able to understand, giving yourself grace, having the opportunity to know you're going to make mistakes as a mother.
Okay.
You're going to. As long as it's not something, obviously, where you're harming or hurting your child, giving yourself grace to understand, I don't have to get this right every single time. I don't have to be perfect.
Well, as we wrap up, I got one more question. I heard you say on the podcast that you were doing, and I think this is relevant. You mentioned how you were nursing your baby, and I think it hit you at one point that sharing your body, even with your baby. Now, this is intimate, and I know moms may mom shame, and they think that they would never voice that. So when you voiced it, it blew my mind, and I was like, I got to get Lauren on here, because you said nursing your baby, it was overwhelming, and it was emotional, and it was sucking something out of you, your very essence of who you are. Not just the milk, but the essence of who you are. And you had to take your body back from your baby. So describe that in that whole scenario. What did you mean by taking your body back?
So I nursed my son for 10 months. That was not my intention.
Okay.
I wanted him to be done at 6 months. I was like, hey, I've done my part. But he did not. And he wouldn't even take a bottle from me. He would only take a bottle from either a support person, my husband. He always wanted to nurse. And I was overstimulated, right? So I have this human being that's with me all the time, because I'm a stay-at-home mom. And I could not detach him from my body a lot of days because he wouldn't take a bottle. And so I was like, wow, I spent 9 months with you, growing you, and you're taking over. And then when you come out, I still don't have my body because I wasn't able to detach him from nursing when I wanted to. So it was, wow, I'm still not in control of my body. Babies don't know time. They don't care. So it's a lot of times, you know, I'm home by myself with him. He has to go to the bathroom with me. Or if I'm in the shower, I have to have him right there in his swing while he's asleep. So it's no privacy. It's always the thought and feeling of having this baby close to you. And there were moments when I loved it, right? So I'm sitting in the rocking chair in his nursery. I'm nursing him, and I love it. And then I want to put him down, but he doesn't want to lay down. He wants to be under mom. And in the bed, my son would not sleep alone. I had to have him on me a lot of times. And that was overstimulating because I'm like, at least I want to be able to sleep by myself and get a break. And so just being overstimulated and not really being able to detach, that was extremely a part of the depression. I was like, I want to break physically, emotionally, psychologically. And a lot of times going back to you saying what dads can do to support, if my son was crying or he was upset, my husband would be like, well, just breastfeed him. Because that immediately calms him down. And I'm like, but I don't want to breastfeed him, right? Make him a bottle. And so I think that goes back to being able to read the social cues of your significant other and understanding. If a woman verbalizes that, I get the baby may be fussy and you want the baby to stop fussing, but understanding, well, what has mom been doing all day? Right? Nursing this child, being able to just have a break, I think is extremely important.
So mothers can take their bodies back?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You give them permission?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. At one point, I just stopped nursing him, and I was able to wing him to a bottle. My support system, my husband would get him more to, you know, detach me and the baby from always wanting to be on me. Absolutely. Now, you know, he look at me, I like, let's keep it pushing.
So as you can see, this was some good information, Lauren. And I'm sure, are you seeing a lot of people?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think you told me you went from like 1 to 19. 1 to 19. So this is relevant.
Absolutely. It's not just depression, it's anxiety as well. It's feeling overwhelmed. It doesn't always have to be sadness. Racing thoughts, insomnia. I have a lot of moms like, I can't go to sleep at night. I can't turn my brain off. Absolutely.
So how do, if I don't not used to this, what are a few signs like insomnia? And what are some few signs that give me a cue that maybe moms I might have postpartum and I didn't know exactly what it was?
Absolutely. For me, it was irritation. I was irritable. I wasn't angry, but I was irritable. Anything would set me off. So irritability, insomnia, racing thoughts, declining your self-care, you know, isolation, not wanting to engage, saying you're okay, but obviously you aren't okay. And I would say to any mom support system, being able to recognize and see those signs in a mom, right? So the strong mom needs help as well, needs to be validated in those feelings of, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I need a break. It doesn't matter if you know, have 1 child or 10. Every mother feels that exhaustion, and I think it's important for the support system that a mom has to be able to circle around her.
Okay.
It absolutely takes a village. I have an amazing village that will call and just check on me, stop by, cook, take my older daughter somewhere so that I can have a break as well.
Okay, good. So thank you for sharing that. So one of the two things that got you out, I heard a good support system.
Absolutely.
And what would be one or two more things that you say, how can I begin to crawl out of this support system, having a support system, and what else?
And I have a very deep relationship with God.
Okay.
And that was extremely important to me. I felt like God abandoned me for a moment because I was like, okay, I'm a therapist. Why am I going through this?
Right.
And then he showed me on the other end, it's to help other people.
Wow.
So I had an amazing just relationship with God that just was like, okay, I know this is a temporary situation.
Right.
I know that anything that you have brought me to, you're going to bring me through.
All right.
And so that
Preach.
was that was extremely important to me. And being able to, and I know this may sound weird, get off of social media sometimes.
Okay.
Right? That scrolling, seeing other moms, you're comparing yourself, the Google doctor where we're Googling everything. So I took a break from just social media, just being exposed to just images and, thoughts of other moms, because that comes with the mom shaming.
Okay.
So absolutely my amazing support system, God, and just sometimes detaching.
Good. All right. Good. Thank you, Lauren, for being with us on the couch with Charles. Listen, how do we get into contact with you? If you still have a mom out there, how would she get into contact with you?
Absolutely. You can find me on anchoredinhealing.org. We also have an Instagram page, Anchored in Healing CC. And the name of the organization that I do my therapy is Anchored in Healing Counseling and Coaching. And you can just put that in and you can get in contact with me.
Good, good. Did y'all enjoy Lauren? Please feel free to share, like this segment. You can go to my YouTube channel, Change with Charles Therapy. All one word, Change with Charles Therapy. And see previous shows, and if you want to look this and send it to other people who may. And listen, this is not only for the women. This is for the support system, the husbands, the fathers, those that are in their lives too, right?
Absolutely.
So I think this is not just for the women that may be watching, but also for the support people. Listen, I want to thank you again for joining us for On the Couch with Charles. Be sure to catch us for our next segment. And listen, take care of yourselves, all right?
Absolutely.
Take care of yourselves. Thank you, Lauren, for being here.
Thank you, Charles,
and
for having me.
thank you for joining us for one more edition of On the Couch with Charles.